literally just on KTLA about 3 hours ago, telling everybody that the way to see Immaculate is in a theater crowded with people, and here you all are, so give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. Very excited to be here today to have a conversation. Please welcome director Michael Mohan. Woo! Please welcome producer and actor Sweeney. So, first of all, congrats to both of you. I was there at South by Southwest at the Paramount Theater for that 10 p.m. screening, where the lid just basically blew off the Paramount Theater. Now here we are at the Burbank AMC. So, first of all, big congrats. And Sydney, the first question, I mean, it's kind of the obvious one, but in your case, it's an interesting story because how did this come about? How long ago did this come about?
Well, I first want to say thank you guys for being here. It's so incredible.
Woo! Yeah!
And we were just hiding behind there and I wanted to hear all of your guys' reactions to that last final scene.
It's
Hello.
amazing.
But thank you. So I actually auditioned for a version of this movie 10 years ago. And they never made it. And I could not stop thinking about Immaculate and its character and how I wanted to make this story and bring it to life. And so a couple years ago I decided to do it myself. And I brought Michael on board.
Yeah.
And here we are. I mean, a lot more than it sounds, but short and sweet.
So, I mean, you two have worked together a few times already. So, Michael, when Sydney first came to you with the project, like, what struck you about the screenplay and about Sydney's vision for the film?
Yeah, so I can actually talk about it because you guys have all seen the movie.
Yeah.
Which is such a luxury. It was when I got to the point where the nail, where you learned that it was like the test tube baby Jesus, I was like, did not see that coming when it first implanted, and I also just saw the potential for like how iconic of a role this would be for Sydney, and so when I read the script, I closed it. I put together I treated it like it wasn't like I treated it as if I were up for a directing job for any producer, not just Sid, and so I put together a lookbook to make sure that we would be on the same page in terms of the look and feel of the movie. I pitched a couple ideas of how we could adapt the script to bring it more, modern because Sydney auditioned for it when she was a teenager, and I think that just our vision for what the movie could be was very aligned, and it was just about trying to figure out how to do that work in a short amount of time.
So two things already from this conversation. First of all, it's perseverance. I mean, 10 years, it is a long time. But also, if you want to do anything in this business, you got to do it yourself. And that's exactly what you did, Sydney, with 50/50 Films. You had already executive produced anyone but you. Yes, 200. But as a producer, this is your first feature. So what were those initial challenges like for you with your first, and especially being on the scale we haven't seen?
Well, I mean, it starts from the ground up with having to get a clean script and then bringing on financiers, bringing the director on. But Mike and I, we worked together since I was 19, this is our third project together. And so
That part
was easy.
Yeah.
But location scouting, because we got turned away from a lot of locations.
Why?
Apparently, in Italy, the church owns a lot of places, and they wanted to read the scripts. So we ran into a few trouble.
Well, how did you find the place that where did you film this, and how did you find it?
Well, so the convent is called Villa Parisi. It's this beautiful villa, and they were very welcome. They use it for a lot of film locations. Honestly, the church have no idea how it
Yeah, I don't know how it was. They're probably pissed right now.
Yeah. We haven't heard from them yet.
Yeah.
Michael, I read an interview where you described making Immaculate as the most electrifying experience of your life, of your career. What was electrifying about it? Why did it so exhilarating for you as a director?
Well, I think I had to learn how to operate off of instinct and learn how to be more fluid, because we didn't, typically I've written everything I've directed. And so this one, it was already going into it was much more of a collaborative situation, for the better, but I had to learn, and I didn't really get there until like the end. Like I had to learn how to be fluid. I had to learn how to like adapt to the situation that we're in and take, like, for instance, finding Bill Parisi. When we walked around, like you were skipping from room to room because it was just like, this looks like no other content in any other movie. And so then that piece suddenly locked in place. Okay, that's this version of the movie. So now I need to think about the shot design from this more, you know, a different content would require a different visual style, you know. And so just being able to, I don't know, like rely on your instincts and try not to overthink things, which is, you know, my weakness, you know.
You're okay, you're good.
But you know, like the movie's so much better than if it wasn't, like the sum of its parts is greater than one voice, you know, and that's the ethos of Sid's company. It's called 50/50 Films, and it's not to say that means there's a ton of cooks in the kitchen. It's that if you have the same vision for what the final outcome could be, everybody should be able to contribute, and we ended up with this film.
You know, because of this relationship that you two all had working together in TV and in film, you know, I felt like, you know, when I did see the film at South by, just because that's where I discovered it, you know, it was a late night, and you were totally riveted and mesmerized, especially that last scene. And for the love of God, that's a scream. But I thought about that type of tour de force performance comes from obviously preparation and perseverance, like I said, but also trust for the two of you. Like, how did working together bring out part of your performance that like allowed you to go as far as you possibly could? There's a story here.
There is a story. Okay. The thing I can take credit for, the only thing I can take credit for, is that I try to cultivate an environment where people feel like they can just go for things, and there's no judgment.
There's also no failure.
Yeah, no failure. Yeah.
Everything you do, you learn from. So it's not like, oh, that was bad, or that was a mistake. It's like, okay, what can we learn from what we just did?
Yeah, exactly. But like for that scene in particular, like we had been talking about it for a while. Anyways, like we knew what it was. It was like part of. After I read the script, that was one of my pitches. Was like, I think we need to smash this baby with a rock at the end of this movie. And to his credit, she was like, yeah, let's do it. To our financiers' credit, they were like, yeah, let's do it. Thank you, Black Bear. But do you want? Let's talk about what the day was like and all the magic words I whispered to you to bring out this incredible performance.
So what you saw was the first take, and it was quite an interesting day because the location that we had been for a short amount of time, and we were filming quite a bit in that day, and so we set up for that last scene, and we just blocked where the cameras would be. And the mic was like, do you want to rehearse? And I said, I'll just go for it.
Yeah.
And then that's what we saw.
So
I wish it was more like,
Yeah.
I wish that was complicated.
So that was the first take. Did
Yes.
you just like, okay, we're good, or let's
We did a few more times just because we shot it multiple different ways in case we needed to show different things. But our first initial instinct was this.
Was that the last scene that you shot for the film?
No.
It was towards the end of the schedule, but like this was so, you know, we had such a short window of time because Sid had to go off to shoot Anyone But You that, you know, we were doing everything just.
Guys, we literally wrapped this movie on a Friday and started Anyone But You the next week. It was like, love, happy.
Yeah.
That's the wire. You know, how did producing for 50/50 Films, which is your production company, how did that you know, also elevate your performance? Because you're really doing producers like in every facet.
Well, you just understand the technicalities more. Like, I'm talking with the Ledger and DP, and we're discussing the score and different things we're going to put behind all the different scenes. I know what we're going to cut to or not going to cut to. So it just kind of helps build the entire world altogether.
How long was the shoot? How many shooting days?
34 days? 33?
30.
We got 2 extra
We got
hours.
so 32,
Yeah.
something like that. It was short.
That is short.
Yeah.
So what makes Michael like a great actor's director? For you and for everyone in the cast.
I stay out of her way.
No, but Michael is so compassionate, and also he cares and loves what he does so much. And he truly listens to people, like whether it's actors, the crew, anybody on set, he's always there. He wants to listen to them and make sure they feel heard, and he can take action whatever they need. So I thank you for that. Everybody always just loves you. You're just a nice person.
Thank you.
Yeah. But for you, Michael, what were some of the unique directing challenges that you faced solely on the back of this?
I mean, the real thing was time. I mean, in Italy, they also work very humane hours. They work a 10-hour day, and in order to get overtime, the line producer has to go to each individual crew member and ask their permission. And if one person is like, I gotta pick up my kid, you don't get any overtime. So, so we really had to be very targeted in terms of what we were shooting. And there's only one deleted scene in the whole movie. Every other scene made it in, and every shot made it in. There are no shots that didn't make it into the movie, so we had to be really economical with that.
That answers my next question, which is how long was your first cut? Probably just maybe like
It was actually short. I cut things out, and then everyone was like, yeah, I was too hard on myself. Yeah.
What about for instance the rehearsal, the prep and the rehearsal, because it is such a tour de force performance, and you're staying in that world, as an actor for 30 days. So how much prep and rehearsal did you actually have?
So I don't like to rehearse. Which can be kind of controversial as an actor, but I truly believe like this conversation we're having right now, I didn't rehearse it, didn't plan it. And so if I know my character well enough, then I can just really be my character as I can listen. I think listening is the most important thing. So didn't rehearse any of it.
Well, keep not rehearsing, because it does right by you. But in terms of getting into character, when you're doing such an intense film like this, playing such an intense character like Sister Cecilia, how do you get out of it? Like when,
Can I say?
Sure.
This is her superpower. Like, you call action, she suddenly gets possessed by the character. She delivers the performance. I call cut, and then boom, she's back to being Sydney, and she goes like, "How was it? Should we do it again? How can we make it better?" And then literally everybody on set is like, "What the fuck is happening here?" But that's just.
I'm just waiting for the day I get dragged away charges somewhere.
just after that scene on the screen, you're like, okay, what's going on?
What I do is I build these books for my characters, and they're like a diary, timeline, journal of their entire life. And it's the relationships they've had, it's the memories that they've had, it's just kind of building an entire person. And I always believe it's super important to separate yourself from the character as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And so doing that, I can just jump in and out.
When you were so down to the wire to get a final cut, and then there you are in Austin, Texas, a place like South by, which eats. Is anybody there? Anybody in the room there? Okay. It doesn't matter if you've seen it. Was that nerve-wracking, especially because you produced the film?
I'm always nervous a little bit, but it's like, I think it's good to be nervous.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it was so exciting though, because we've seen it in front of test audiences, but seeing it in an actual, just a real setting like that was really cool.
So it was obviously, the other thing I said on Kids Away 3 hours ago is like, this movie feels like a throwback to just the freaking great horror movies that stand the test of time. You're shaking your head.
Yeah.
You agree with me, the guy with the mustache. Yes, I absolutely felt that way at South by, and watching it again, and there are certain obviously the movie that comes to mind is Rosemary's Baby. But what other films did you sort of, or were you inspired by? What other like actors in those films particularly inspired you?
Rosemary's Baby was a big one. And there was one visually I was sending you pictures.
Return of the Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, from 1963.
But in Mike's pitch that he sent literally 24 hours after reading the script, it was a lot of 70s references. Because we didn't want it to live like on your phone, or we just wanted it to feel more timeless in that sense.
You know, watching your performance, Sydney, I was exhausted watching you because you were so such a that's how effective your performance was. You know, like especially when she's giving birth and she's shit. You know, it's so visceral. You know,
feminine rage.
gotta do it. But Sydney, like, what does that take to get to that place for you?
It's literally.
Just turn it on.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It feels good.
When as far as producing, you know, because it was your first film, like what sold Neon? Because I mean, obviously Neon's perfect for this. You know, the Neon's the studio behind Parasite, you know, a million other great movies. This is perfect for them. But like, what made them like the ideal producer distributor for an actor?
They loved the movie and they saw the same outcome that we did. And they've been so supportive and they've been so creative too with all of the marketing, and I'm just so thankful to have them on as partners, and I can't wait to see what happens.
When you're making film, Michael, and again, because you haven't brought together a few times, what were the moments that you went, holy shit, wow?
I can tell you, it's very specific. There's a moment where, so when she's barbecuing the priest in the lab, and there's that explosion that happens, and we're back on Sydney's face as she is basically reacting in real time to like, okay, is he dead? The relief of the fact that he's dead, the horror at hearing the fire extinguisher going off, and then the pain of then going through another contraction, right? And we didn't have the time to shoot that on the day that we shot the rest of the lab stuff. So we had to do that as a pickup on like a separate set that we like built, like a little piece of a wall or whatever. And I just remember it was like a take take one, take two situation where she just, sometimes we work where it's like she wants to be cute, other times it's like just cue yourself because I don't want to impose my, like something that you have my voice over something that she's doing and then you have to ADR it. So you just cue yourself, and it was just, I was just looking at the monitor and I was just like, I was vibrating at like how visceral, suddenly it made everything else in the scene feel so much better that we had shot prior. That was one of them, and the second one was when we're doing the keyhole shot, and it was just like, you see her eye in the keyhole, and then like this one tear drips down perfectly in the keyhole, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck can you do that? So, anyway, those are the two moments. Those are my two favorite moments.
I was looking at what was it, like a light stand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you were looking at like a tape mark having this. I don't know.
You know, in the last, I mean, it's only been like a week and a half since your premiere at South by, and you were sitting in the aisle here, and I was here because I kept turning around, I was watching everybody react to the film, and I did that again recently. But what's it like for you? Because again, you're in it on two levels here as an actor, as a producer, to sit in the room and watch, listen to the reaction of an audience.
It's amazing to hear your guys' reaction. It's a little nerve-wracking. I definitely cover my eyes a little bit, especially just, you know, he goes there and then you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, the movie goes there. The movie totally goes there. What makes Sydney a great producer?
Just, I mean, everything. I mean, just like, I think what it is that you really tried to, you got me out of my own head and got me out of my own way, because I can be really, really hard on myself, I can be really hard on the script, and that can sort of cause me to like obsess. And I think ultimately when I look back, it's like what you wanted the vision, you wanted what me and Elijah and Adam Reaver and our whole team, like she wanted us to use our instincts because she trusted us, and that pushed us to make something even more beautiful than we've made before, even though it's in the context of this like super horrific thing. There's that, and then I think the other thing is just anytime I would bring a new idea to her, she would then go, but is it scary? This movie needs to be scary, Mike. If it's not scary, it's not gonna work. It needs to be scary. And so the reason the film is so scary is because of that gentle, like, pushing towards making something that had the impact on you that it did.
And as a producer for you, like now that you've got obviously an amazing film under your belt for your first producer credit, like what are you looking for going forward as for films that you want to be in, or films that you want to produce and not be in?
I kind of like just surprising the audience. I love going from genre to genre. I don't know what's next, you guys don't know what's next.
As long as you know first. Well, one thing I want to say, two things. If you could stay seated while we exit, because we're doing another one right next door, that would really help us out. But the other thing, and this is the more important thing, is, okay, I love seeing a theater full of people. This is awesome. This is very fucking cool. So how do you keep that going? You spread the word. And how do you spread the word these days? You go on social media. So, go on Facebook, go on
Facebook.
Go on, or go on Instagram, Facebook. Whatever you want to use. Whatever you want to use. You want to use TikTok, you with my Mr. Mustache guy, you want to use Instagram. You in the back, if you want to use X, knock yourself out. Spread the word about Immaculate, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.
You don't like Facebook. Old people.